Before we begin, it's that time. That's right, sponsor mentions. Doer Activewear, people. Pants from Plants. I'm wearing a pair right now, and I don't want David to get upset because...
you get the new one?
The spring collection. Mm-hmm. See, mine are more gray.
It's pretty cool.
Those are nice.
Yeah.
I'd show you the gusset, but that would be inappropriate for...
Good.
I don't want to show you my... wherever the
Jingle
gusset
jangle.
is. Yeah. But it's super freaking comfortable pants. And these are like work quality. I mean, yeah. It's just... I love these. You guys buy these pants. Go to Pack Filler. Click on the link. Pack Filler 15 is the code you use, and you will get that discount on those. So, firm believer in them right here. Next off, Scratch Labs, you guys. That's right. The innovation at Scratch continues with... Oh, Paul's got his Scratch Labs shirt on, even though the logo's wrinkled. You got to pull down his shirt. There we go. Your cleavage was holding the shirt up too high.
Yeah, my boobs. My man boobs.
Moves.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Well, you haven't tried the newest recovery flavor, strawberries and cream, yet, but I'm going to.
I have a bag in my...
Do you?
Yep.
Oh.
We'll see.
I can't wait. If it's anything like, I buy a bag of the coffee and a bag of the chocolate, and I blend them together, and so every time I come home from a ride, it's like mocha time.
Well, I'm hoping... You guys know those like little wafer bar things that are like... I don't know, the rectangles, and they're like wafer, and they have like some cream filling thing, and they come in like this cheap plastic. I'm hoping it kind of tastes like that.
They were all over Thailand.
Yes.
That was like what we would eat in Thailand.
Like the old school, like really old crap.
Yes, really old.
The crumbly pie, you know what these are?
Crumble when you bite into it.
Wafer.
Wafers.
Wafer.
They're wafer thin.
Wafer
Yeah,
thin.
yeah.
It's the creosote.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
To be determined.
Absolutely
Keep you
stuffed.
posted.
Better bring me a bucket.
You better be in a bucket.
You guys, absolutely brilliant stuff. Check them out at scratchlabs.com. Tell them we sent there. Lastly, you guys, the listener, that's right. You can help us take us to the next level. Our Patreon program is up and running at packfiller.com. As it grows, so do the offerings. We are able to make it happen. First off is the true return of the monthly video show. I'm putting myself on the line, my neck on the cutting board, known as Coffee and Comments, but we've got a new name for it. As soon as we reach our target to launch, it's going to be launched just to the patrons first. So there we go. Come be a part of the Pack Filler. Let's do this. Let's boo-boo. I watched that movie last night. You guys seen World's End? No? Third in the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End.
Yeah, and it has like all the famous actors in it.
Well,
and it's like
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but I don't know if they're famous.
That's not what I'm thinking of then.
Great movies.
Yeah, funny.
Brilliant movies. Brilliant movies. Well, it's technically been 2 weeks since our last show, even though it's really only kind of been a week. About 12 days? 11 days?
Week and a half.
Okay. Although we did produce 2 in 1 week with a nice little gathering after the show. If you're on our YouTube and you logged in earlier, you heard about some of the stories of our little get-together after the show. Welcome to Life on Two Wheels. Welcome to the Pack Filler Cycling Podcast. We are live again on YouTube. I hope I don't screw up too badly because I'm in charge of the cameras. That's usually Jackson's job. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss the opportunity to see our silly little faces. Spring break it has been. Let's get to it. Gentlemen, when I introduce you, please respond by answering the following. What is on your bucket list for this year? Bucket list for this year. If you had one thing, you're like, 2023, I want to kill a man to watch him die. Or, wow. Sorry, that slipped out. That's Johnny Cash's fault. First off, he's leaving us. I'm not sure if we can be teammates anymore, as we've been known as the South Hill team. So, I guess we're just, I don't know. Thanks for everything, Mr. Paul Main.
Yeah. I am leaving. Well, I'm technically still south because First Street.
There you go.
Is south
First
of
Street.
Street. So I'm still south. Yeah, south of the river.
Sweet.
I'm still south. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was okay to mention that you're.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're,
The house is sold, and they accepted our offer on the condo down below.
That's crazy. That happened so fast.
It's second viewer on our house.
So you're never going to ride because you're going to be
I'm always
moving.
going to ride, and I get to commute up the hill. I'm going to buy.
True.
I told my wife I'm buying a commuter bike.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Commuter e-bike?
It's going to be belt driven, internal 8-speed.
Nice.
That's what I want.
You got a brand off the top of your head?
But yeah.
Do you?
BMC makes
BMC.
them.
I was going to say,
And
because I
makes
knew
the
BMC.
belt right.
And it actually comes with vendors, which Jack would be very happy.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, BMC, shit or get off the pot. We've been giving you guys free advertising for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
So, come on, BMC, get your shit together and come talk to us. We would give him more exposure than Greg Van Avermaet because he's not in the front of the pack anymore. And we're on every week. Just saying.
Yeah, that's a good thought there.
What's on your bucket list, man? Is it
Is it for
bike?
this year? Is
Yeah,
it cycling?
2023. Doesn't
Well,
have to be cycling. It could be anything.
Yeah. Well, everything in my life is cycling anyway. So
Oh, nicely said.
it is Masters down in Augusta. That's my bucket list. Masters National Championships.
Okay, does
that work?
It does if you tighten it up. Yeah.
I just feel like then I can see Jackson
That's what
when
Paul
he's
did.
here.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, then, everybody can see my face.
There
We
you
don't
go.
need
I
Now I
just
gotta
put it
share
back up.
with
I
the
gotta
world.
flip your logo thing back
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Though. No, I'll do that later. Don't just.
Mine's
Anyway,
still upside down. What is it?
Masters in Augusta. You know
Yeah.
how screwed up that is with the
Masters
Masters
Championship,
in
yeah.
Augusta.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
So-
just finished last week.
It did just finish. Yeah, my father would definitely tell you every single stroke that happened during it. I could not give it any less of a shit. I don't know why. Golf has never been my thing.
Yeah.
But Masters in Augusta. Okay.
Yeah.
And when is that? August?
This
This
is
year?
August, I think, in like 24th or something like that. I'll do the road race of the crit.
Right on.
So
Next off, he didn't fall for the fact that the breakfast tacos were made from vegetarian pigs, Mr. Sam Waples.
I was still tempted.
Jack tried to
It's that-
convince you.
It's that early hour.
If
you
the
know?
pig doesn't eat meat, is it okay?
see, he's vegetarian.
Yeah,
He's
good
corn.
point. Good point.
No.
It all counts the same then.
Yeah.
A bucket list thing I am doing this year is going over to Switzerland.
When are you doing
Yeah.
that?
I'm doing it in end of August, beginning of September.
Wow.
So I'm going to go visit a college friend of mine, and I'm actually going to do a fondo over there as well.
Oh, very
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's like 10,000 feet of vert
Oh.
and 75 miles.
How much are you paying for that?
It's not that bad. I think it was like $120 or something
Wow.
like that. And I'm renting a bike, so it's probably going to be just short of 200.
I'm waiting for Paul to give you shit about how much you pay
It'll
to
be a
do
disc
that to
brake
not
bike
do
too.
Mm-hmm.
it. Oh, okay. Third, I was going to say he's the most expensive bunny hopper in the room, Mr. Jackson Bulger, but he's not here. He's, you know what Jackson's doing, everybody? Jackson is actually taste testing the food that's going to be served at his wedding. When did this become a thing?
Well,
It
like
wasn't for me.
we went. We weren't going to, but the lady that we just found somebody. We didn't try multiple places. We were like, oh yeah, your food's good. This
Yeah.
will work. And the lady was like, well, do you want to come try the menu first? And we're like, I mean, if you're gonna offer us free food, yeah, we'll show up.
So you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went, but it was like very informal one night. It was just there weren't options. It was just like, hey, this is what you picked, and we're like, well, that sounds good. Thanks for the meal. See you at the wedding.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
That's
I've- pork and beans taste the same anyway. That's what we had at our wedding.
You know what? I think I know for a fact that my wife and I did not serve dinner per se. I think it was just like hors d'oeuvre stuff, like walk down and just pick stuff, ranch and veggies kind of thing like that. But the booze was taken care of. We
Yeah,
paid
oh,
for
yeah.
all the beer and the wine.
I spent more time picking the kegs.
Did you?
That I was involved
You had a
in. Yeah.
docked party.
Yeah. Well, we had a bunch
Was it
of
3 kegs that were on tap, and
3 kegs, and then Danielle's dad works for Anheuser-Busch and trucked up an additional 9 kegs worth of alcohol,
Holy shit.
it was a riot.
and that was all like gifted.
People were
alcohol.
crawling
It was
out of that
beautiful.
room.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
There were these things called grapefruit smash, man. It was ruined so many of my friends. 8% couldn't taste it.
Since he's talking, he's the guy who apparently stretches out the time between chamois washes, Mr. David Waples.
Hey, it was a simple question. All right? I wasn't admitting to anything.
What's the longest you've gone on most repeats on a chamois?
I thought this was going to be a question for everybody. I didn't think I was going to be on the spot here.
If you clean it with like,
Sink.
isopropyl alcohol or like, hand sanitizer, does that count?
How about under the sink?
Yeah.
Wash it out in the hotel room with a little bar soap in the sink.
I'm just
one
trying
and
to, I'm just
done.
trying to see.
It's not.
I'm
no.
one and done.
I am
Yeah.
a one and done.
I mean,
I'm
in
just
an
wondering
ideal in an ideal world, one and done. But like, you know.
If you're like on a massive, bike packing trip, I'd still wash them.
Have I shared the story of our teammate that showed up from Walla Walla without his, and he had to take a chamois from a racer that raced before him and get in that, and
was it your shorts or you've done
No,
that?
remember that I had the clammy chamois story?
Oh.
Oh my God.
Just donate that race entry.
Frozen Flatlands, and there was a time trial in the morning. The second stage is afternoon road race, short little road race. I forgot my shorts and nicely.
Just peeled them
Michael MD said, "Hey, I have." Because it was the first race of the season. He goes, I have a box, and here's the keys to my car. There's a pair of shorts in there. Use them. And I grabbed one pair of shorts. They were his. I didn't know. And I'm like, there's nuts on the top of the what? And then I'm like, oh. And I have 5 minutes to get to the start line.
He had just finished racing him?
He finished, well, I think he did his TT.
The day before.
Bruce Johnson claimed
Man,
his
that's
story.
like-
Good night, everybody.
Chamois.
The clammy chamois.
That's like the
I was
beginning
like,
of the stool sample swaps here.
Yeah.
It's like this is how they started.
Yeah.
Oh, your
I
gut
couldn't,
health.
I couldn't get
Taint
get it
gut
out of my head the
transfers.
whole race. I was just like, I'm going to attack. I'm going to get this sucker over with. And as soon as I'm already unzipping, with my hands off the bars when I cross the line.
Your pubes are dancing, intertwining with his pubes.
Ew.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
There we go. That should have been the topic, apparently. Me, I'm the guy whose training camp lasted less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I'm Pat Bulger. My bucket list for the year is to make it to the last best ride in August, which I signed up for, and to be able to ride the whole thing with a shred of dignity on remaining at the end of it. And to be my son's best man. I had to say that because I have a feeling he'll listen to the show and he'll be like, "What the fuck, Dad?" Be like, "What the fuck?" How was let's all talk. 10 or so days gone. How's riding been, everybody?
Awesome.
God bless it. Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Man,
should I
good for
brag
you.
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I flexed hard on Saturday. Hard.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on one. I'm telling you. I just sat up there. I'm like, there's nothing that's going to drop me below. And you know what? That's not crazy numbers, but like 250 to 270. I just sat there. And I was like,
I think your power meter's broken.
yeah, okay,
You think it's
maybe.
more than that?
Well, yeah, because I was sitting next to him, like never hardly seeing less than 300. I'm smaller.
I think I'm just really efficient.
And it freaking felt like it. I kept just dropping back behind him. We stopped to see if there was an issue with the bottom bracket. I was like, how is this so fucking hard? It's never this hard riding with him.
Did David at one point, it's like, did Maui make David or Sam a god?
It was impressive.
It's a sad thing about that.
The Freudian slip he just let out and referred to himself as his brother's name. But any other than that, keep going. Yeah.
To me, it's like those are the days you want to keep on a race. You want those on race days.
Yeah.
You just burned one.
Yeah.
You know,
But you got to enjoy it while you have it.
Burned a happy
Yeah,
match.
Well, the thing is that I'm peaking definitely for sure right now, right? Like I probably have another few days of this, and then my fitness will tailor off for a little bit. But it's because I did such a massive training block. I was doing consistent through the winter, huge bump, and then took a week off of kind of rest, and then hit it. And so I'm switching after this. I'm going to shorter, more intense intervals to get a sprint up, and then I'll be ready.
You remember how I was talking about like why the only thing I do is look at power and like how I can sit there and be like, oh, I can do this because Sam can't. I was thinking about that on the ride because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, now I know his secret. I took off my heart rate strap. I haven't been training with that for the last
Really?
3 weeks. Ever since he mentioned that on the podcast, I was like, oh, so that's how he does it.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't,
You die.
quite literally. Now that I think about it, yeah.
You should keep your heart rate strap.
Yeah.
Different. That's different.
Well, I actually was going to get rid. I think I said I was going to get rid of the whoop, but
Yep.
I put it back on.
Mm-hmm. Is Jackson wearing his again?
No, no. He was paying monthly. I'm not.
Oh,
paying
there you
monthly.
go. You
I'm not
did the
paying monthly.
annual.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I did the annual, so I might as well just keep wearing it until February.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you guys? Paul, how's you? Oh, shook the head.
Yeah. Nah, just, the whole reason we are moving and getting out of a house is, folks, I hate working on homes. It's nasty. So from time to time, I'd walk home from work and I look and just see more work to be done on the house. And so one day I looked at my wife deep in her eyes and I said, Renee, let's move. Let's get a condo. And that way I don't have to do yard work, shovel snow, or any of that. And so we did.
A condo?
But yes, a condo. So I'm looking forward to that. But in order to get the house ready, all the things that I needed to do on that house, I'm doing now
Yeah.
to sell the house. And then I'm thinking, well, shit, it's already done. Why am I moving?
Right? You always get it fixed up, right? And then you're like, it's all done, and then you leave.
That's correct. That's the story. So no riding whatsoever
None.
in the last couple of weeks. This weekend, splendid weather is on the way.
Yes.
I'll rip your legs off.
I'm just.
I can feed them to you too if you want.
I'll hurt. I will be in pain, but I won't stop.
Yep.
Game on.
That was.
And
me
the
this
thing
weekend.
is I got a good ticker. It won't fall. I
Yeah.
just went. Yeah.
I was like, Jackson, you want to come up and play? And he goes, I'm good.
He told me, he did say along the lines, he was like, oh my God, I was just sitting on his wheel at 300 watts.
Oh.
And-
See, I'm telling you,
and he
your
stayed
power
on there.
meter's wrong.
You guys, I was on hero day.
I'm sitting next to you over 300 for like an hour. I'm like, what the is this?
It's like headwind. I was like, feed me.
I love it. Wish I was there.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it was glorious. The only thing that stopped me is we were in kind of a crunch since we started late. Classic Waples, right? But we
Hey, the ride starts at 9:30, 9:45.
Inbound.
but we so we were cooking through, and if I
I don't
could have
wanna be-
refueled sometime, like I don't know, Cheney, which is like 15 miles from home, I would have felt great the whole way through. But yeah, it was good.
David, how's your riding week been?
Well, I mean, that was good. That was
That
like
was
the
it?
first big effort of the year, and like big long effort for
Yeah.
me because I've been able to get outside. And then we did a good mountain bike ride on Sunday, but I'm leaving on Friday night. We are going to California for a week, my wife and I. So this is something we did a couple years back where we just went down there because that's where I went to college, and they have such great riding. We take our bikes down. And last time we went, I did like 350 miles. She did like 150. So I do like a bit of riding by myself, and then we go ride together. So,
It's epic.
hoping that's gonna, when I come back from that last weekend never happens again because I'm just not used to that.
We were talking about it on the ride. Like, he's in perfect position right now because, like, in 3 weeks he'll just be flying.
See, Jackson does that shit too.
I
He's just
know.
like going, "Oh, I suck right now." I'm like, in 9 days, you're gonna be.
It's
fast.
like
Give it
it's
9
like
days.
I
Yeah.
nailed it all winter long, and I get 1 day for that.
yeah.
And then David's just gonna go down and hammer for a week, and then come back and be like, I'm gonna slap you around all summer.
Yeah.
It's so nice down there, though. Remember tacos and sunshine? That's where this all comes from. Is my time in San Luis Obispo? It's tacos
It
and
is
sunshine.
So I went to Lewiston, Idaho. I went down there for my spring break, and I took my
How was your
RV
trip?
down there. It was, you know what? It was. I got there.
Was it long?
It snowed on the way there. It was not long. I got down. It snowed on the way there, and I'm going like, this is going to be interesting. But I already paid for this RV spot, and so I got down there and I descended into the valley. Sunshine, like mid 50s, and I was like, okay, this is going to work out. I went for a ride that day. Got about an hour and 45 in. Came back. And, did my normal evening thing, went to bed, woke up that next morning. I was going to do about 3.5 hours. The whole week was going to be at least those kind of days, 3 to 4 hours a day. Just, not super hardcore, but, some climbing and stuff like that, just to, kick the system in. I got 2 miles into that second ride, and I went back into AFib. Just like, I'm climbing out this tiny little climb. I just get out of the saddle, and all of a sudden I felt my chest just go. And I was like, oh, fuck. just pull over, look at my heart rate monitor on my Wahoo, and it was like I'm standing on the side of the road at 180 beats a minute.
Damn it.
Son of a bitch. And so, needless to say, I turned around, soft pedaled back, sat in the RV for a little bit, just trying to think, okay, maybe it'll just chill out. It didn't chill out. And so I loaded up my campsite and drove back. So I got 2 hours of riding in on my training camp week. And then I pouted for about 5 days. I basically spent a lot of time here in the studio kind of just cleaning stuff up and listening to music, The Cure, Depeche Mode, kind of really, really happy
Minor
stuff.
note stuff.
Yeah. and got in a couple fights with my wife because she was just like going, the fuck is wrong with you? I know that you're sad, but you got to stop it at one point. My wife is always right. But, and then it was, I think it was Friday or Saturday. I've worked down here cleaning all that kind of stuff up, all that, whatever. And I'm talking to my wife while sitting on the couch, strangely enough, with a little shot of bourbon in my hand. And I thought to myself, check your heart rate. And I checked my heart rate because I was going, something's weird. I feel human. And I was back in sinus rhythm. And with sinus rhythm, which is a regular heart rate, not sounding like, Miles Davis is in control of it. Yeah.
And really good.
Yeah, and I've been since. And so for everybody keeping tabs, I did ride, and you guys can make fun of me. I did ride on Zwift 2 hours yesterday.
35 miles. I saw it.
Nice.
I stalked you.
I did because I wanted to be in a space where I didn't have to turn around and climb home or something like that if it popped back out. And so I did a couple little efforts, things like that, climbs, I got out of the saddle, the sprints or something like that would come up, and I'd kind of hit the gas a little bit like that, get it up to 150 or something like that, and see if I could soft pedal and drop it back down below 100. And so far, it feels pretty good. I do have an ablation scheduled for May 1st, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's a light surgical procedure where they're going to basically go in with the equivalent of really spiking red hot needles and fry the electrical signals. I'm pretty close there, Dave.
That's actually nailed it.
It's about what I would say. Yeah, that burn the inside of your heart.
Yeah, that cause the wiggy waggy to go. So hopefully
really
that
good
means
at this.
I know my shit, man.
You do.
And wiggity waggity. So hopefully that'll kind of help cure that kind of stuff, at least to under the controllable levels, and we're gonna go from there.
I can't wait to rip your legs off.
I'm gonna keep testing my legs this week, and then if I can straddle a top tube on Saturday, I'm going out with you guys. I'll see how far I can go, and
I'll be kind.
I'm surprised.
But once your heart is fixed,
yeah,
I'm gonna rip you a new one.
I am surprised
Bring
that
it, bitch.
your goal for the year wasn't just to shut him up.
Well, it is, but I don't want to fuel his fire right now. See, you've ruined it. It's just like we pulled open the curtain, and you guys see that the wizard's not the wizard. So we want to make sure that Sam doesn't know it's coming until I accelerate again.
The beautiful thing is, it was either one of them I could have taken on that day.
That's what I hear.
That's only going to happen one time.
No, it won't. It'll happen more. You're a
Game
power
on.
guy. You're a power guy. Yeah. So, oh my God, we
should
took
talk
25
bikes.
minutes. So yeah, I do want to say that bike racing's coming, and I can't wait. And I do want to plug some friends of ours at a local club here in Spokane called Badlands Cycling Club. Badlands.org, BADDLANDS.org, is putting on our local Twilight Series. And
signed up for all of them.
Did you? You can
Because if I'm
do a
not there, I'll
season
just
pass?
donate it.
Yeah, you can do a season pass.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
sign up for all 6.
I'll do that too. I'll do that too for sure.
It's like
Is it-
$150.
Cheaper that way, or is it?
It is cheaper. It's like
It's like-
$5 each race or
Yeah.
something. It's nothing crazy, but
I'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that for sure. So that's really cool. I did talk with the one and only Chuck Kenlin from OBRA and NABRA, which is also their organizing group, about
So it is through them.
making
It
races
is like
happen.
OBRA
No.
and NABRA are all connected.
They are one organization.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. About putting races together, about putting races on. And I know this is probably going to, hopefully not enrage my fellow board members of the Washington State Bicycling Association, but about putting on races, about affordably putting on races, about getting away from the USAC method of apparently nickel and diming everything to death. After talking with Chuck, now I'm not even paraphrasing. I'm kind of trying to recall it in my mind. I wrote it all down somewhere, but it's the equivalent of about $3 per rider of an insurance policy, and the insurance policy is up to $8 million of coverage for a race promoter, and no necessary need for officials. You should have some sort of officiating. He said very well, he says, if you know anybody in OBRA or if you know anybody in USAC who's willing to come and officiate your event, that's probably not a bad thing to do. I don't know if those type of people would cross over. By the way, I've reapplied for my USA Cycling officials license just so I could do something like this. Because if we have 3, 4, 5 people internally in Spokane in our community who are willing to officiate a race, all of a sudden you're not nickel and diming yourself to death.
Quick question.
Yeah.
On that, so would that also like $3 whatever for the $8 million? Could you do that as like a group ride race, kind of like how you were saying in Arizona they do that? Like people buy. Is that like an option?
What you
Like if
should
we
do
ended
is just sanction the rides.
Yeah,
through NABRA.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And everybody pays. Everybody signs up at the beginning of the ride like they're signing up for a race. Now you're not on close roads.
Yep.
So then you run into some type of situation. So we'd have to talk to Chuck about those kind of things. But
I mean, just to keep everybody safe, right?
Yeah.
Like just in
Yeah.
case there was an accident, and
Yeah.
then people would be covered.
Does this make you WABRA? Are you the start of WABRA?
yeah, brah. Yeah. So I'd like to ask you guys about the could you imagine the concept of riding a road race that is not USAC affiliated? What are the pros and cons of that? There's no national championships unless you ride USAC. Is there a world of riding non-United States cycling?
Hardcore, yes.
Yeah.
But what do you but there aren't that many options.
Yeah, but the reality of it too is, at least for me, and I think that everybody in my age group and above, we're not going to be going pro.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't really care about any of those points. I just want to go and absolutely rip myself to pieces on a weekday night for $5 or $10 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And if I can do it safely where it's insured, in case I'm somehow in a hospital again.
My entire thing with being in a hospital in a lot of these situations is my health insurance is going to cover that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're
I mean,
right.
can you be wrong, or can you be bad to have
So
extra?
why do promoters have to shelve this burden?
I think because you're right. If somebody doesn't have insurance, I don't know if they could sue you or whatever, or maybe they sue you because health insurance doesn't cover everything.
Sure.
So maybe they're suing you for that.
Trust me, I'm $1,200 into the hole right now.
Yeah.
Just from this hole in my chest.
Yeah. But I think a big part of it is liability, right? Like if something happens on the course and there's people out there that will,
So you're negligible.
Yeah.
You didn't sweep the corner, or this is not a safe course.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember when they didn't connect the fences? You might have heard about this.
Yeah.
When I was in college, there was a kid who went into a fence. They didn't tie the fences together, the fencing company, and so when he hit one, it separated, and he hit the start of another, and he died. And that's, I think, what you're carrying insurance for, is for things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's to cover somebody's. I mean, if you can afford a road bike these days, you should probably also have health insurance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was one or.
Yeah, it's one
Road
or the
bike
other.
or medical
back in the
insurance.
One or the
day,
other.
it's like
Yeah.
Medicaid, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
$10,000 bike, I'll take that too.
Paul, you're probably the one who's the closest in tied to what USAC offers because your desire, the bucket list you mentioned at the beginning of the show about nationals.
Yeah, I think there's some benefits to it. I mean, it'd be nice to have. I mean, I do want to race, and if you want to do these like national level races, you want a good organization and a good, rule base, everything that USAC has. But I think if it comes down to it's unfortunate, and we can't back what it costs for USAC to do, then we have to come up with a different alternative, and that's it. So and like as Sam was saying, it's like I don't need any points, and especially me at 60.
Yeah,
why would I do that? Why would I care? I mean, it's always fun to throw yourself into state championships, right? Then you can see where you are at your age group when you're a master and national. But outside of that, I don't care. I just want to race. I don't care who's the governing body or who gets the money. I just want to race.
There was. Go ahead.
Even then, like with a lot of the state championships that we've been a part of over the last couple of years, 10 years, whatever. I feel like Sam and I entered kind of at the tail end of the height of cycling, and the turnout was so abysmal that I didn't really care that much, because it's like, okay, but there's like the same like 10 guys that in my age group that are always there.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, getting more affordable, more accessible races across the state that would hopefully bring more people in, that would be more valuable to me, because then if you do go to state and all of a sudden you have a huge base of people that actually want to ride because it's more accessible, then I'd be more motivated to go to that race, like versus 10 people that they're not big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without and you cut me off if we were short on time, but without
we're short on time. No, I didn't.
Without like giving away all of it, this crit or series that we're trying to put on.
Yeah.
Right. Like the idea behind that too is that to make it affordable and to make it something that like you could involve the community in. Because for instance, like what brought me into cycling was seeing the downtown criterium, right? And what I've heard from others, it was seeing those types of fast paced, like all out efforts. And you can make that totally accessible within like an industrial park or whatever is like that, right? And I'm thinking like if we can bring out some food trucks and things like that, so it's more of a like we hang out on a Wednesday, Thursday night and ride bikes hard and get some kids involved. So there's like an A group, B group, and a kids group.
Now he and I did talk at length about the main thing they could probably help more with is some of those more contained courses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a major road race out on 50, 80 miles of roads that's where you run into problem. Yeah. But he also mentioned specific things like cars and the fact that you don't need to provide insurance for every car. Individual drivers with their personal insurance is fine. We talked about obtaining permit processes for something like a downtown crit. He says and he used a lot of terms that went way over my head, but I'm sure that when I talk to the people to try and secure a permit in a more metropolitan area, not a business park crit or something like that, they would want to know these things. Mm-hmm. And he says we have the boobity blabbity blam blam and the slingity blabbity boop boop, or whatever they are. But he says they will ask about these things and tell them we have them, and so. This has become over the last several podcasts a one-sided argument because we are all we don't know USAC's perspective on this, and they are a national governing body. They have become the bad guys in this situation. Now, can we ask? And I'm sure we could, but I refuse to believe that I can talk to a guy in Oregon who has all the problems figured out for us here in Washington to be able to put on races and have our asses covered so we don't lose our house, or if somebody gets hurt to have the medical bills covered, that it can be that simple from them. And they even have races in California happening. Why is this a problem? Why is our major national governing body with a much larger budget unable to do this?
Does California and the East Coast are what matter? That's where the money is.
Yeah.
So that's where they're dumping all of the resources and all the officials and everything like that.
Well,
like
I'm
they're
saying
building it all in those
There
areas.
is a California promoter who is using NABRA to put on his races because it is a more affordable option. He's not using USAC. So USAC needs to either step up to the plate and explain themselves. Yes, I understand that they're trying to put on, major UCI development programs and stuff like that. I don't care about my license fee. I care about people being able to put on races and being nickel and dime to death. I'll pay my yearly license fee. I don't give a flying fuck. But I care about the fact. That is. But I care about the fact that a local club isn't going to put on a race because they can't afford 4 officials. They can't afford every car to be insured. They can't afford to get the permits.
Yeah.
And then some asshole's going to ask him where the hell his free set of wheels are because he raced. His participation trophy. Assholes. So I think there's a lot to go on here, and I think this is obviously something that's going to continue. And I need to get to the bike races that happened over the weekend.
Really? There was a bike race?
There were a couple. There were a couple. We, in fact, during our time off, the 2 biggest one-day races did we broadcast? We did before Flanders. So the 2 biggest races on the pro road calendar happened, and it truly didn't disappoint. First, everybody, the Tour de Flanders. In case you're living under a rock, Tadej showing pure dominance. Mathieu asking him to stick to the Grand Tours. Mads Pedersen coming through for 3rd after getting away in an early break. Wout could only manage 4th. Shouldn't have given away that Ken Velgem, right?
No, he did the right thing. Yep.
You still think so?
Mm-hmm. I still do.
Miss Palmares don't. I'm kidding. Talk to me about the race, gentlemen. We'll obviously kind of summarize and talk about our own personal reflections, because I have a feeling by this point everybody listening to the show knows who won and who did what. But your thoughts on the sheer power of Tadej Pogačar with his relentless attacking in that race? Does this man does this mean anything in terms of is he shooting his bullets too soon in the season? Anyway, go, Paul. Yeah, you're shaking your head.
No, I don't think so. I think he's an extraordinary individual. We're seeing
Merckxian?
kind of. I mean, even Merck says, now this is probably the closest person that came to me, But I think he's a smart, clever guy. At E3, he went to the sprint with Wout and Mathieu, and he said, I can't do it. He goes, those guys blow my doors off.
Yeah.
I can't have it. So, I mean, you could see in E3, he was attacking every corner. He was backing off, and he couldn't get anywhere. They had too much power. So he knew that he made a statement on the second time at Quermont that he was going to he has to do an attack, and he said
on a hill.
Total Babe Ruth move. Call in your shot,
I don't think he telegraphed. Well, everybody knew he had to.
Yeah.
I mean, and Mathieu said it was in the Kreuzberg where Mathieu attacked, and that's where Wout got dropped on that part. But then it was down to those two. But anyway, Tadej said on the last time at Patersburg, he thought he was going to hit the wall. He was done. He was fried. And he says, once I got over the top, I thought, all I got to do is go full gas. And Mathieu said, that guy was just unstoppable. There's no way to match him.
Yeah.
So I think
cool.
Yeah. To know what you have to do. He threw the dice down. This is where I got to go. It's going to be a long haul. He buckled down and he performed. Nothing's better than doing a plan, sticking to the plan, and making it work.
I mean, look at the 2 different body styles there.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Like,
that's bike racing is so awesome, especially classics.
Yeah.
You got a mixture of people that's what's so.
I mean, there's no reason that Tadej should be that good on classics. Like, he's so light, right? I mean, those cobbles should beat the snot out of him. But he is such a good rider. Like somebody like Mathieu, it's like, oh yeah, no, you're obviously be a good cobble rider.
Do we see him winning a Roubaix anytime?
He says he has to put on 3 more kilos.
Yeah.
You bounce around a little bit. The cobbles and. Well, when Terry Preem was here for Paris-Roubaix, when we were watching, he said when he did, and he's pretty light. He's a lighter guy. He says he couldn't even make it all the way through Arnberg Forest. He had to stop.
Yeah.
It's stuffed
halfway.
Halfway.
Yeah.
And Terry's no
No,
weak
he is
guy.
an
Terry's
off-roading hero.
Yeah, Terry's got
Yep.
he's got power.
He's got bowls.
Bulls. Okay, let's address the Flanders monster elephant in the room, the crash that took out the majority of the field. The crash where one rider decided to surf himself across a grass patch. I don't even know the rider's name, and I'm not going to mention the rider's name because I don't want to destroy
Because he's
his
already
life
not in the
anymore.
World Tour anymore.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it
Probably,
might
I don't
not
know.
be. Okay, so we know Sam's opinion on the crash.
Yeah.
I have a differing opinion on the crash. Does anybody want to start?
Do yours.
I personally think that I think I read it someplace, so it's not originally my idea. Is this concept of when a team director tells you to get your ass to the front of the field, you get your ass to the front of the field, or you're out of a job. And I'm not saying this is what was going through his earpiece at the time. I'm saying he was taking advantage and trying to get through a section as quickly as he can. How many times do we see riders jumping over traffic islands, going through grassy areas of people's yards? This, if you look at that clip, that section he rode through, from what I could see on the cameras, looked like grass. Mm-hmm. It looked like a grassy patch.
But it also disappeared from road, right? It was like he was fine.
It was road, but then it was grass, and then
Yeah.
he could get over there. He hit that
and his
grass,
wheel disappeared.
and he dropped to his axles in water.
Yeah.
And he did all he could to stay upright and not die. And unfortunately, those human knee-jerk reactions sent him flying into the field.
My comment was not that I don't think that was his. I don't think that was his fault. I think he was, pushing the limits, but everybody does that. He got really unlucky there.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's not like, God, the dude would never try to take out.
Nobody's going to do that on purpose.
No,
Yeah.
like that's an awful crash. He was probably, pause his face like halfway through that thing and there's poop in his pants.
Yeah, and you
Like, he's wondering if he's going to survive this.
Yeah.
And you see him at the end look back and be like, oh no.
he clicked his foot out and just went, oh, shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
He felt bad. Like that's not his fault. He's just pushing the limits. He's being an athlete.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like I would never want to be in his position, but I also agree that it was a good call that he's disqualified because he did ruin a lot of riders' days. I mean, Wout was in that crash, right?
A lot of people, everybody was
Yeah.
in that
That's-
crash.
He banged
Yeah.
his knee on that.
That's why he banged his knee on. Anyway,
So-
that's my thought.
So this is my take on it. I think it has been a rule for quite some time that they cannot use bike paths, and the UCI again
But
comes.
they do.
Well, but they call it so. Luke Rowe in 2018 in Flanders kind of got forced out and took a bike path just to get around this corner. He didn't really advance or anything, but he took this bike path, and they were trying to push it. He gets disqualified, but it takes him an hour while he's racing and kind of altering the whole race course. And they said,
Changing the
"Oh, by the
dynamics
way,
of the
you were
race."
on a bike path. You're out of here."
Yeah.
So he didn't even touch anybody. He didn't advance, didn't do anything. So Luke Rowe gets penalized. Now there was more people behind him moving over on that bike path to this rider from Bahrain.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where now they're punishing him for the destruction. It's like, how about the people that were behind him that were on the bike path? They didn't get penalized.
Yeah.
It was so that's the part that's frustrating to me is there's no consistency with the UCI. Now, on his side, immediately they did so. The UCI did disqualify him immediately, which is a good move instead of having him being the part of the whole race.
Oh, Jesus.
But he,
Could you
he
imagine
went on
the
Twitter
awkward
and
nature of that?
apologized immediately. He knew he screwed up, and he felt absolutely like shit. He got fined, and they're looking to actually even do more punishment, like suspend him out.
That sucks.
If that was
And
grass,
he's like 22,
if that
21.
patch was grass,
that sucks.
if it was truly regular grass, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
And so
I don't think that he should have. I don't think he should be fined further or held from further races. He's just racing. I mean,
I mean, if
y'all
anything,
been-
make his team pay for some of the other team's losses in equipment.
Sure.
And let's call it. Why does UCI get any? The fines are stupid.
Have you guys ever caused massive crash?
You just took this from me, and I love it that you did
Segue.
that. Yes.
Because I have.
You have a big one?
I don't know if I caused it, but I was one of the insiders. It sounds like I caused it.
Did you?
I assisted.
Insiders.
It was, we're going into the final lap in a crit, and some guy starts pushing on me, and I push back harder, and he fell. And then he...
Oh, yeah.
Robbins
You went
racing,
into a
man.
guardrail, right?
He fell into me, pushed me into a guardrail. My hand went in, I stopped immediately. And then, like, it took out
Tacoed his
3/4. Yeah, took out... It tacoed a aluminum frame, the down tube just went...
Your frame.
Yeah, mine.
Oh, okay.
And it took out 3/4 of the field behind us. And I felt horrible, obviously, but also like the guy pushed, I pushed harder back. And it was just one of those situations where it was like, we were just racing and nobody had any malintent.
Yeah.
I think they would have let me finish if my bike wasn't totaled and my brain wasn't concussed. But
From the guardrail.
Yeah.
from the guardrail that I
Had
hit
left
with my
a
face.
dent
Yeah.
in his-
He kept doing circles, going, "Mom,
Mom, why am I in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oklahoma."
And I don't think that, like, the guy,
Yeah.
actually, here's the crazy part about this story. That was in Oklahoma City. And
Oh.
I moved,
Okay.
it was actually in Oklahoma. I moved to Denver later and was racing, I was on the way to a race in Denver. And I ran into some guy. I was like, man, this guy looks so familiar. I can't figure this out. Where do I know this guy from? And I start talking to him like, have you, what big races have you done recently? Because I'd recently finished like a lot of the big Midwest crit series. And we start talking about races and I'm like, oh, you did the OKC Pro-Am? What field were you in? And he's like, oh, yeah, I was in the 1-2 field. And I was like,
Until the last lap.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
until the last lap, I had a pretty bad crash. And I was like, oh, I think I was in that crash. That's crazy. What happened to you? And he was like, yeah, I was at the front. I got pushed into the guard, or I fell into somebody who went in the guardrail, and he got hauled off in an ambulance. I think he broke his femur.
Please say you just said nothing. Like, well, see you
got
later.
It got a little awkward, but he had nothing against me.
Wow.
He was not mad. He was just like, yeah, we were racing, and like that sucked, but I think that was really cool in the end. That like it was a total accident. We're out in the middle of Denver now,
Well,
and ran into
have a
the
nice
guy.
day.
I mean,
That's
it
what I'd
wasn't
have been
like it wasn't like we were gonna get a beer afterwards, but it was
That's what I'd
it
have
was
been
not
like. I'd have been
hostile.
like, oh, sorry
It's
that
that-
happened to you.
If
Yeah.
you've seen Dumb and Dumber, it's when Jim Carrey's standing there with two guys outside of a 7-Eleven. He's like, Slurpees, huh? And they're like, yeah. He goes, well, see you later.
I mean, it wasn't far off from that. It was not. It wasn't.
Just a quick moment of crickets. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. We both were sitting there just like, oh God, this is awkward. But he wasn't mad.
none of us have ever done that. The rest of us haven't done that. I haven't done that.
I don't think.
I've been in so many crashes, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it's-
might have had something, grab the brakes and somebody wasn't paying attention and they hit another wheel and went flying
I
off.
did have a series of incidents that in a local training series, there was a criterium, and this two guys from the same team, it was a slow left-hand corner, and they kept moving in, and this one guy ran into me, and he starts pushing me into where I was going to overlap a wheel, and I just gave him a chicken wing and pushed him out a little bit. And then he did it again because he was trying to move up on the outside. And it's like he's coming by and he's like, this is my location. I'm not going to do it. Well, later in the race, I started feeling bad and I was in the back of the pack. And he did it to someone else and he ended up crashing into the ditch. And it caused me to go in the ditch because he was in front of me. And everybody, he thought, and I probably to this day thought I was the one that caused the crash because a couple of times I've given him a chicken wing. And so the next week in the series, Alex, who ran the race, and he told me to knock that shit off. That
And you're like, but I didn't
and
do
it's
that
like,
shit.
what? And Evil Mark Kanoki said he was with me in the back. And he goes, Paul wasn't there. He was, but to this day, the guy thought I was the guy that pushed.
You know
me.
what?
I mean, I've shut the door on people, but that's not causing a crash. That's just
It's the same as
my
this
wheels in front of yours. It's the same
Yeah.
thing as like what I think I said on
like
this
Matthew
time.
did to.
Yeah, that's
the
not. I don't know.
Degenkolb.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll
exactly.
Get to that. Yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's you remember doing the Wenatchee stage race, and I led everybody through the corner, and half the field crashed out.
It's I lost half my shoe.
Is that your fault?
half your shoe?
the right half of my shoe
Is now gone.
I went into a curb that was a foot tall and like
I railed
I
a
didn't
corner.
fall, but like Sam went through, the next guy went through, I go through, and I'm rubbing my foot, and everybody behind me is down.
You're into the curb, the 1 foot.
Because
curb.
I railed
Yeah,
it so
like
hard.
it's hitting
that-
my
So-
outside foot's
But that's
rubbing
not
on the
my
curb.
fault.
But genuinely,
that's
how
their
is that
fault.
your fault? If
It's not.
if you take an insane
not.
line into a corner and everybody has to, do they have to hold your wheel? No,
No.
they can just go. I'm going to touch my brakes here and let that asshole crash.
It's not my fault.
It wasn't. No.
I'm innocent.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump to Paris-Roubaix. Let's jump to the crash heard round the world of John Degenkolb. Everybody, I think, was cheering for John Degenkolb, especially
I
if you're
know.
over the age of, especially if you're over the age of 30. Everybody was just like, "Oh no, my God, this is gonna be so cool."
Yep.
What? In fact, you could tell that here in the studio we had both our TVs on a time delay, and one of them who saw the crash first, and I looked into the studio, and all you guys were just going, "What?
You
What
do,
happened? Ah! And the whole room just erupted in screams at 8:00 in the morning in our neighborhood. But we have a situation of Jasper Philipson swerving in to take the dirt road line, which I don't know, could have been a patch of grass. Wink, wink. And Matthew Vanderpool going in with him, and Degenkolb, who was already in that patch of grass, that path, getting swept out. Is that malicious? Let's put our voices into what the entire internet can't shut the fuck up about, because everybody's armchair quarterbacking this thing.
I'll be short and quick on it because I think you guys might have longer opinions. I would just say Phillipson's bars were in front, so
So you're going bar placement.
yeah, I'm going bar placement, and I think that it's super shitty what happened, but I just think that his bars were in front, so that means it is his wheel.
All right.
Well, I look at it this way. Jasper was in the lead, and Matthew was on his wheel, and that's when Degenkolb came up, and at a certain point, he was ahead of Matthew. And I think Matthew was going to, it looked like he started accelerating to shoot the gap between he and Jasper, but at the same time, Jasper was on the same, thinking I'm going to the dirt on the side.
That looks good.
Yeah, and there's going to be an overlap. I think Matthew had no place to go. I mean, he was going to overlap a wheel and he's going to take out Degenkolb anyway, like pinballs, so, and he, if you look at it straight on, he did the old chicken wing just to protect himself too. That's
Hold
just natural.
steady.
Yeah. And it's a bummer.
Everybody hold. Fudge.
So, but once Matthew shot, because Degenkolb looked a little bit ahead of Matthew, and then you could see him kind of point like he was just going to accelerate and shoot that gap.
Yeah.
But that was the same time Jasper went over.
They came over.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh crap!" He must have touched the brakes, because then Degenkolb was kind of back in front,
Yeah.
and then boom.
What a heartbreaker
Yeah.
for John Degenkolb. I mean, there's not a whole lot of Paris-Roubaix that he's going to have at the narrow end of the peloton, and that was a devastating one to take. So, we all gathered here and had our little festivities and things like that. I do want to ask you guys about especially the women's race. I thought it was one of the more exciting bike races I have seen in a while, and I don't care about gender. It was an amazing race. The idea, and I'm paraphrasing from what the female commentator herself was saying, that this concept of this early long break in women's racing is not a regularly practiced
Exactly.
tactic, and it was almost as if there were these moments of confusion within the peloton, and especially when you've got riders like Marianne Vos who had to have a bike change and was still chasing up, that there were moments where there was confusion ensuing, where Jumbo-Visma probably didn't want to chase until Marianne Vos got back on, and then when they started to organize a chase, Lisa Longo Borghini crashed and took out a good portion of that chasing group. Most of them, I think, all got back up, but it was pretty darn chaotic. But it led to an amazing finale. Would that break have stayed away if we didn't see some of those crashes or some of those bizarre moments? What do you think?
I mean, all racers, and that's just Paris-Roubaix. I think that's what's unique about this race, and that's why everybody's so passionate about it. But I think just to touch on Vos, when she had her mechanical, I'm like, where are her teammates?
Yeah.
She was on her own. And it's like whether she already knew she was maybe not having the best day. I don't know. It was bizarre. The whole race was not like, and I've heard it from even Allison Jackson said, they watched the men's race and these breakaways that, this is a new race to all the women. This is a third year.
Yeah.
So people had to change the formula. If you weren't one of the, if you're not Trek's, Segafredo,
one of the major machines,
who's won both races that have been raced there, or SD Works is just a power. You have to come up with something, and so they just threw it out there and dealing with equipment and everything because women typically are lighter, so they can run different gears, different equipment and that type of thing. So I think it's going to make it really exciting next year, even on top of that. And it was unique for women's racing. And again, this is what the best. We were talking about breakaways. When you're not a quality, one of the heavy hitters, you have to bank on that all the heads of state that are going to win or selected riders are going to have infighting, because that's the only way you're going to win is go off and hope that they start bickering.
Yeah.
That I can't, you do it. And that's what happened. That's
a lot of looking
classic
around.
Cycling,
Yeah.
So
In
that's
the
what
women's
made it
race that
exciting.
we're talking-
Good.
Man, that was good. And did you see how close they got at one point? In the
it was
second
within 10 seconds.
Yeah,
was
they had
so
9 seconds
close.
at one
9,
point.
yeah.
It was so close. And Allison,
Jackson.
thank you. Man, she was lighting up that front.
She was yelling at people like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
This is it. This is our
Don't give
chance,
up.
you guys. Yeah.
And that's so cool. Like, she was a motivator and she was driving a lot. Like, she was on the front pulling people, and then she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'll sprint you all.
Yeah. And oh my God, she sprinted like Jan Ulrich climbing a mountain. She was like, everybody else is in like a 17 and she's in like a 12.
She was like fighting her bike.
Just,
Limbs out,
yeah.
just like.
But it
let's
worked.
do it.
Man, it worked.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And what a cool. I had very little to know about her personality and who she was, but oh my God, I grabbed my phone. I'm like,
follow her on social media. She's fun to follow.
She's hilarious, and she seems what a cool victor. I mean, and so
gets off and starts dancing.
Yeah. And yet the UCI didn't penalize the bucket hat on the podium. You were waiting for him to just get mad about that.
Measure the brim. No, that's beyond regulation.
Other takeaways from Paris-Roubaix, men's and women's. The Jumbo-Visma plan that was perfect until one flat tire. Anybody have another reflection?
I
on
swear to God, if you say
Roubaix?
anything about disc brakes, I'll lose my mind.
Paul was saying stuff during the podcast.
I'm not going to even touch that. I already know.
Thank you.
Everybody's thinking the same thing anyway. I will
Okay, then. See you later.
Touch on tubeless though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we
Who
saw
was
in
running
Ehrenberg
tubeless?
Forest, almost everybody was on tubeless, and that one guy whose front wheel just came completely off, and you could see, all that sealant splattering across the cobbles. Well, that would be nice to go across, but Luke Rowe on his podcast was talking about it. He said, he goes, I'm just telling you, tubeless without having inserts, I know it causes 2 to 3 watts, slower to have those inserts. But he says you flat and you burp, and he goes, and I've experienced it too, and he's seen people, you lose that. You're on skates,
Yeah.
And he goes, I can't imagine on these descents, these guys are descending, and if they don't have those, that wheel's coming off. And Roger Thompson, drink. Yeah.
Or you break
Experience that.
or you break your rim. Hi, Jackson.
Yeah. So, yeah, and once that happens,
Was his tubeless?
yeah. Well, no,
Jackson's
he
wasn't.
had clincher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, the part that frustrates me is like, well, if that was a tubular and that came off, you've got a suspension. You got a fine.
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
allowing tubeless to like blow off, and so it's kind of interesting.
Man, I
White
don't
stuff
think
all over
that
the countryside, like
cobbles
Monica
are-
Lewinsky's dress.
Cobbles are one of the only places that I would still run tubular. I think tubular is still far superior on the cobbles than tubeless.
Yeah.
For pinch flatting?
For
that-
sure.
yeah.
For sure. Because you don't get pinch flats on
Right.
tubulars.
There's no rim to.
There's no rim to
cause that
pinch.
And,
Yeah.
and then they're less likely to blow.
And then if you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
get a total flat, I mean, man, that thing's glued on there. I've still taken turns on a flat
Yeah.
tubular.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a
We're
pro.
all starting to agree with Paul.
I'm not a pro.
Well, on that's that particular race, and in some situations, I mean,
Sure.
even disc brakes are. I'll even admit they're better in rim brakes in some situations. But as an amateur cyclist, going to a bike race, I can't afford that.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's
just
just
said
not.
something
It's not.
positive about
There's no
brakes.
advantage for me at that point in time.
Yeah.
It just costs so much to
Yeah.
have, like, oh crap, I need a rear wheel, 140 or 160.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
disc,
Yeah.
and it's like, there goes your race.
Yep.
And then you don't have pros with power drills changing it
Yeah.
out. You're like,
Or
you got to carry your tool.
or they've been sitting
Yeah.
in the back. They've been sitting in the back of a wheel rig, and all the
Yeah.
rotors are bent.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they have to match up too.
Yeah.
So each wheel set, they don't like a rim brake. You can just open up your calipers and you're fine. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I will stop bashing disc brakes because I have to have them at some time.
How about Jumbo Visma's helmets? I know they had a cause. I know they were
Yeah, the
important, but
I think they were fine. I don't really care. Whatever.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't bother me. It's would I want to wear it every day? No. If a team gave me a helmet to wear for one day and it had a
Yeah.
brain on it, I'd be like, cool, let's represent.
What was their point? Like brain
Yeah,
injury?
yeah,
Like,
brain
don't
injury
we all
awareness.
wear helmets? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who's not wearing a helmet
Bring-
on a bike anymore?
let's bring extra awareness by, I don't know, having the riders wear helmets.
with what it's protecting on
Yeah,
the
that's what
outside
I mean.
instead of the
Yeah,
inside.
on the outside. That's gray, man. It should have been gray.
there
The
is-
brain should have been gray. It's
true.
That would have been
Yeah.
better. Oh,
The
that's
irony
horrible.
is that they're still having brain injuries with
With
helmets.
helmets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Don't say anything because then we're going to be on gigantic like.
and,
old
and I'm not
school
saying
bells.
that. I'm not saying don't. You might as well not wear a helmet then. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Or the old ones that just have like
the hairnets. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had one of those.
I'm sure you did.
I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask the question.
I don't know.
Is men's bike racing boring right now because we're seeing the same people at
No.
the front? I'm going to ask that every time one of these three guys wins. Are we getting boring? David's on the fence.
I mean, yes and no. It's nice to watch the three of them duke it out,
Yeah.
but it is like we're talking about the races every week, and I'm like,
It's just changed. It's just like bike racing is in a different state right now,
We
which
have
is
the,
cool.
We have the Amstel Gold Race roster right in front of us. How many of you did not circle Tadej Pogacar's name?
You'd be a fool.
Yeah.
He's raced 16 times this year and he's won 10.
And then how many of you didn't immediately look to Albertson Phoenix and immediately look
Look to
to
Jumbo.
Albertson de Koenig? Oh, no, to Phoenix, de Koenig, Albertson, and then look to Jumbo to
Yeah.
look for those other two names. We all did, right?
yep.
Yep.
Is that potentially boring bike racing?
Nope.
No.
No. Okay. All right.
No,
Fine.
because
No.
they keep mixing it up.
Okay.
And it's like it's just these sheer dominating power performances that are so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to back that up because Ghana said that he,
Oh,
He's
Ghana.
gonna be off the back.
well, he said his legs felt good at the Carrefour, and then the big crash happened. So you think about that race was really exciting until shit happened on the Carrefour, and we had
Yeah.
16 kilometers left. Degenkolb goes down. There's a split. Wout attacks, drops everybody, and Matthew fights to get back on, and he gets on because Wout has a flat.
Yeah.
And
Wout was gone.
he was
Wout was gone.
Not
Wout was
before
no,
the flat.
absolutely
no,
not.
I'm saying
way.
before, if he didn't get a flat, Wout's gone.
no.
You
No,
lie like a
You're
rug.
wrong because he attacked and Ghana said
Denial ain't
He
just
goes,
a
"I
river
thought-"
in Egypt, Sam.
yeah. Ghana said when they attacked, he goes, I thought I had good legs, and he's like, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because when Wout attacked, it was like, and there's 16 kilometers left, and he had that much gas. He goes, it's over. But then he saw him on the side of the road getting a stupid disc wheel change.
Oh my god!
But hey, here's something.
If
that
it was a rim
his.
break,
That was
it would
his.
not have been any faster.
Wout's guy on that corner that did the wheel change, and he did do it pretty fast. Was the guy that does the pits in his cyclocross races.
Oh.
Yeah.
He placed
That's
him there
lucky.
For that
This is
reason.
gonna-
He
this-
put him there for that.
This
Oh,
has
okay.
got to I got to transition into our topic, which is brought to us by our friends at Perry Street
We haven't
Brewing.
even gotten to our topic.
I haven't. No, brought to us by our. Well, we got to fly through it now
Thank you,
because
Perry
you
Street.
guys just won't shut the heck up. Brought to us by our friends at Perry Street Brewing. If you live in the Spokane region, get to the Perry district, get to the Perry Street Brewing, and just
Drink all of
bask,
the beer.
Just bask in the beauty. What were you saying? The beer they just had
The
on tap?
Helles.
That's Hellas.
Oh,
I like the
So-
check.
the check.
The
is
check?
so good.
That's a
Get
Pils-
yourself a
Pils rack, yeah.
ramen Rito.
No, I don't do the ramen burrito. I just do the pork burrito with a banh mi burrito style.
But
which
have
is
you
much
had a
more
ramen
relaxing.
burrito?
Have you had a
It's
ramen?
got a burrito. It
No,
should not have noodles in it.
So you haven't
On
had
principle
it. You haven't
or
had
because
it.
you've had
All right,
it?
disregard.
Noodles-
He hasn't
noodles
even
and
had it.
burrito
He doesn't know
don't-
what he's talking about.
I have seen it. I'm just
haven't
not going
had
to eat
it.
it
You need
because
to put it
You
in your
can
mouth.
put pork in it.
it's a heart attack coming to your plate.
Yeah.
It's a carburrito.
Yeah.
Burrito. Carburetor. Anyway, their beer is brilliant, and their food is actually really good. And I just bashed a food item. So thanks for everything, you guys. I understand if you just want to go off into the sunset. This year's Paris-Roubaix, in case you weren't paying attention, was the fastest on record, just at 30 miles per hour.
46 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm Euro.
over cobbles and not fully dry ones at that. The conspiracy theories are flying already. Is it the quality of the riders? Is it the equipment? Is it the youth element in the peloton? Are they doping? Are they motor doping? Let's break down and try to figure out what's going on that's either making these guys so damn fast, or are we just in a magical time with rainbows and unicorns and fancy magical powers and little boys with scars on their foreheads?
I
That's
think
a Harry Potter joke.
I'm gonna start this because you guys probably have other great things to say. But there's I can't remember who said it, but the smartest person to ever live is a different.
I'm right here.
Same but different. Yeah, exactly. Statistically speaking, was probably like before civilization was even really civilized. Like if you look at the amount of people that we've had on Earth, like and the fact that intelligence is just random, and then you think about these athletes that come, once every couple of years, every decade or so.
Yeah.
The fastest person to ever, come onto a bike. You get one of those like every 10 years. So do we have a peloton of just a bunch of fast people? No. So I don't think it's that. So it's either drugs, equipment, or the fact that conditions are getting better. Now you guys go ahead.
Conditions. When you
So
say conditions, do
statistics.
you mean like
Well, in the Roubaix, it doesn't count, but in like
global
other,
warming is making it better?
Well,
Yeah,
well,
I
to be
agree.
fair, warmer
Mhm.
air is thinner, but
Oh.
so you have less wind resistance in warmer air.
Yeah.
I was going to say road conditions now versus like the 70s. You continually redo roads and make these rides are on better roads.
Yeah. Except
the
the
Roubaix
Pompeii,
is
but
the Roubaix is on, so that doesn't apply there. So it's either the technology or God forbid doping, and I think it's the technology personally. So
I like that.
Yeah.
That warms the cockles. of
I'll
my-
take it since I'm going to be the also second shortest. I've been asked this question so many times since I've
Oh,
been just
yeah.
repeating
Second
it.
short. Wait, you think I'm gonna get long-winded?
Oh
What
my
the?
Do we have enough time for Paul to talk
We got
tonight?
20 minutes left in
Okay.
the show.
I'm gonna
that's
be
not
really
enough.
short, yeah.
you get 3.
Yeah. I will just say that I've been asked this over and over again because I've been just playing it on repeat this week at the clinic. And like people asking, man, they're flying. Like, do you think that these guys are doping? And I personally think that we're in this magical state of our performance is optimized. I mean, we have things that are so dialed for like science as far as like how we're training these superhumans.
The human machine.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh. Like and it started with Sky, right? So like they've just absolutely taken that over with these like Mathieu, Tade, and I mean wow, like those guys are unreal. So I'm just gonna say, like, I think that things are just optimized.
$800 in chain lube kind of thing like that. Yeah,
like it's I really don't think, I mean, we have so many guys, like if you look back in the days of like Voldemort and stuff, like it was one guy that was just super doped up and on a great regiment, right? That was able to walk away from everyone.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Like there are several that are doing that. So I don't know.
Paul, are they?
Well, I would say climate change has a lot to do with it, and we were talking about the conditions.
Really?
So,
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, look at
Up
that.
until Greg Van Avermaet, what did he win in 2017? 2017 was the fastest. Prior to that was 1964 with Peter Post.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Bender.
because your
Bender.
mic's so far away from your face. I have your mic so cranked up that
It's
it's.
That it's
picking it
speaking
up.
of the dog.
Yeah.
Here, I'll stick it in my mouth.
Just put it about an inch away from your face. There you go.
Okay.
You
So-
don't have to stay there the whole time. You can I'm going to say something now, and then I can back away. Anyway, Paul.
So Peter Post, 1964 was the record up until Greg Van Avermaet's year. All those have been clocked with tailwinds. All these have been tailwinds.
Oh.
Now, Greg Van Avermaet, I think, is number 3. Number 4 is still Peter Post
Wow.
in 64. And you start looking, there's some in the top 15. They're still in 1949. They're in the list of the fastest
So
Paris-Roubaix.
suck your theories.
So
Yeah.
the thing is tailwind is a big thing, because it primarily just goes north. So if it's no, and they zigzag, but they're going to have a tail crosswind, and then it has to be a dry one too. And this is a fairly dry. There was some wet sections and stuff, but also you start looking. Well, now from 2017 to now, we have 3 that are ahead of Peter Post, and they were tailwind, but now we start seeing these newer guys coming in. And I think equipment, and I've mentioned before, like my times up or segments and stuff. Before I had like carbon fiber bike and a bike that weighs 15 pounds. It's like, God Almighty, that was a huge thing.
You were doing
and technology.
but you are now doing similar times. But in your youth, you were still doing pretty fast times.
I was doing fast times, but
Yeah.
I can bet you in my 40s I was beating some of my times in my 20. I don't have any real records or
That's
proof.
gear.
But,
That's equipment.
but
Yeah.
I know the people that I ride and train with, I'm now just like flying past them when it was a struggle before.
Yeah.
So, and then Paris-Roubaix, you'll look, boy, wider tires do make sense.
Yeah.
They're running 30s, 32s in there. So they're getting less. Well, they're getting just as many flats apparently.
Yeah.
But they're not fatigued from the So just
Arnberg
using
Forest looked like a snow globe from all the white stuff flying all over the place. But,
exactly.
somebody frocked the Arnberg
that's
Forest
right.
from all the sealing.
It was beautiful. But I think
Winona
there's more.
Ryder's spinning around in the center. Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, what is the sun?
Oh, this is
geez.
beautiful. Oh, yeah.
So I think that, and what I don't want is doping.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to swallow. But if somebody said, "Oh no," it comes out that they did, and I'll believe it. Well, but I think there's
fecal
more.
transplants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fecal transplants.
Come on.
It would go
2
back to that.
fingers.
Yeah. So I think there's whoa, whole fist up there. Doc.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. Using an ice cream scooper?
Wow.
Jeez.
Let's break down some theories. Let's break down some theories throughout history. Okay. By the way, that warms my heart to think that we are either all sitting around this bar living in denial, or there are potentially some reasons to explain why these guys are going so damn fast. Yes, there's probably some dietary, some medical things that are legal, hopefully, going on.
Are they
There
all
are-
taking hits of albuterol before they?
Well,
Maybe at some point.
Short acting.
and one thing I forgot to add is tactics.
Yeah.
Now, and even back before television, like GCN Plus, we only got the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
And you hear these old pros like even Sean Kelly and stuff like that. There was guys were just chatting and stuff, and the breakaway they would just control the breakaway, and as soon as they heard the helicopters, they knew that it's time to pick it up because here comes the TVs, and then it was just slam.
Then it was game
So
on.
that's where a lot of that speed's picked up. Now we have television that's like kilometer zero. That breakaway in the men's race never got more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
so
what's
there we
going to
go.
accelerate.
We just restored faith in bike racing.
Yeah.
It's not the drugs; it's everything else.
yeah,
Thank
it's
God.
the way they race this way.
Let's quick responses. Other conspiracy theories throughout history. Okay, you can. I will give you a sentence, preferably a yes or no. For example, our first one is the Bernard Hinault Greg LeMond Tour de France. Did Bernard Hinault truly want to win the 6th Tour, or did he just make Greg LeMond work for it? Was he playing a teammate and keeping things exciting, or did he want to truly steal? Does anybody have any reflection on that tour?
Truly steal.
You thought he's being a prick and wanted to steal the race.
He is a prick.
He's French.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not like, I mean, yeah, that's a well-known thing.
Absolutely. He's going to, I think he wanted Greg to earn it.
Yeah, David.
David, you need to watch a documentary on
Yeah, I need to watch a
ESPN.
documentary.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is.
Slaying the Badger.
Slaying the Badger.
Head in the sand.
Written by
I keep
Richard Moore.
I keep forgetting how young you guys are. So never mind.
I've
You don't have to
seen
answer
it.
that one. The motor dope. Oh, by the way, I think Bernard Hinault did not give him the tour. I think.
He fought. The
Yeah,
whole
he
way.
fought for it. Yep. The motor doping of Fabian Cancellara, and even as more recently Ryder Hinault. If you guys saw the footage of Ryder's bike hitting the ground and spinning around. Thoughts on the possibility of riders using motors in the peloton, especially at such a high realm? Sam's already shaking
No,
his head.
I don't think so.
No.
No, there's no way to try and cover that up. You have there's too many
They
people
have X-ray.
involved.
They
Yeah.
literally X-ray.
Well, even before, like Cancellara was in
he was before
2010,
that.
and that's where everybody said that he had it. So, to me, it's like there's too many people in a know, and if it hasn't leaked out in 13 years, it's not going to ever. It didn't happen.
That and risk benefit. I mean, you're talking about like you to be caught doing that, and
Would
then
ruin your whole career.
Like that's you can't come back. People come back from having a positive urine test. They don't come back from
Yeah.
Yeah.
having a motor in their bottom bracket.
Speaking of theories regarding those types of things, Chris Froome's crash. There is an internet rumor out there that the crash before the Dauphiné, before his time trial, it was almost planned to the point of, because there are theories that he was going to get caught for doping, that the crash was staged. And there are photos of Chris Froome in the hospital looking pretty perk for actually all the things that he went through. Any theories on Chris Froome's crash being staged before the Dauphiné?
No, no. He's
We don't
going to
have-
win every single tour that he can.
There's no tinfoil hats in this room.
No,
apparently.
not on
Yeah.
that one.
Not on
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
No.
That guy would be way ahead of the game. Right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
He's like, I mean, that guy would claim 7 or 8 or 9 if he could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last one I'll ask. Gentlemen, is doping back, or did doping never go away?
Doping changed.
Doping
I'm
changed.
sure everybody is always going to try to do
Yeah.
something. It's just no longer as explicit as EPO and blood transfusion. It's just they're
just
all
different.
doing
It's vitamins and
Somebody got I can't even
Tramadol.
remember. Somebody got
Quintana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
somebody got DQ'd recently for something. That I'm like, why would you even fucking take that? That's like
Really?
yeah. I don't even remember what it was, but anyways, everybody's gonna keep trying to get that little edge, but
Okay.
Yeah, in all sports, not just cycling.
yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's just not as explicit as growth hormone, testosterone,
Yeah.
and EPO.
Yeah.
The golden
They're not
days are
peeing.
gone.
They're not peeing neon anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody been ever accused of some sort of a dumb rumor in your days? For example, I once had an ex-sponsor of this podcast list me on their website as an ex-professional. And I let it go for a while. I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, all right. By the way, I was never a pro. No, you guys have? No?
I have.
Yeah, Paul?
I had did a thing for Harry Gary. It was a news coverage of they were trying to get like manufacturers.
Yeah.
And so they interviewed me and they listed me as an or a professional cyclist.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, how embarrassing, because
Yeah.
when people see that, they're gonna go, "Oh, so you're a pro now?"
Yeah.
You know,
That video of Jackson on the propeller bike?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. Over 7 million people have seen it, and it says certified professional.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
That's funny.
We didn't ever say he was.
Yeah.
So don't trust stuff
Shit.
on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
asked many times just because of racing,
Yeah.
competitively in the 1-2 field. Like, did you ever dope? I'm like, no, I was never even good enough to be considered to dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried. I just didn't have enough money.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I was so far out the back, you'd never think I was doping.
Does malt liquor count?
Yeah, exactly. Does expensive whiskey count?
Yeah, because that should. 'Cause
That's what was coursing through my
put me
veins on
back into
Saturday.
sinus rhythm, damn it.
Yeah.
But it also probably put me into AFib
Yeah.
that night after the podcast.
Good times.
Oh yeah. All right. So let's shift to our final segments here. First of all, do you know what even the question is, or am I going to throw this to you blind? It's the same one we had from earlier.
No, I saw you talked about this one a while ago.
Yeah. Well, I know we never talked about it on the show though.
Yeah.
The idea of maximum heart rate equating to cardiovascular fitness. We all know that as we get older, our maximum heart rate decreases. Yet we are able to still maintain, as Paul was saying, he's still able to beat times and go as fast, even though your heart rate can't get as high. I guess this is almost a very personal section for me now that I'm starting to think about it. The fact that my heart rate does not I cannot reach 180 beats per minute anymore, but I can still go just as fast. Talk to me about the relationship of maximum heart rate in relation to cardiovascular and fitness. Should I ask? Does it, the other guys in the panel? Does it?
No, I'm
Is there a
curious, too.
correlation? Do you think there's a correlation?
I don't know. My heart rate is like such a wide span. I've always been known for having a crazy high heart rate because up until I think even last year I could hit over 200 still at 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did at 27. I was over 200, but my resting is down. We've had this discussion on Friday, but
I was told my resting heart is too low, but yeah. So
yeah, to me it's like I think for aging purposes, for me it's like my arteries. I would think is the flexibility and the ability to in the heart, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so we'll ask him.
Well, let's ask the one who is. Yeah.
So the general rule. For
Turn that mic towards your face.
The
just a little
general
bit.
rule for the.
There we go.
Wow, that made a huge
Right?
difference.
Right?
The general rule for your heart rate is like one of the easiest estimates for max heart rate is 220 minus your age.
Yeah.
But that is for like your average American, not your average cyclist who punishes themselves regularly. If you continually exercise throughout your 20s and 30s, your max heart rate will not drop at that same rate. And so this is actually a really good question. I don't have the exact answer, and I don't think anybody does. But overall, just being able to reach a higher heart rate, I do not think means that you are in a better cardiovascular shape, because as a young person, you just do that because you're young. If you're 40 or 30 years old and you can still reach 200, maybe you just trained really well for a long time and you didn't lose it.
Yeah.
What I will say is that if your heart rate, your max heart rate by that equation, 220 minus your age, is, say it's 170 or 180, and then all of a sudden you start taking a medication that doesn't let your body hit what it should hit.
Hi, everybody.
You are impeded. You will not be able to perform. There is nothing you can do to overcome that if that medication is holding your heart rate back. And so that's why it's actually a very interesting question, is because I don't think that overall your max heart rate correlates with your overall cardiovascular fitness, but every young professional athlete can probably go over 200. Yeah. No problem. And then the older you get, it slows down. But it actually doesn't start slowing down until you start taking breaks. So you can still hit over 200 because you don't take a lot of time off. And I can still go over 200 because I don't take a lot of time off. But if we take a couple of years off, when we come back, we're probably going to be closer to 190. But it doesn't mean that you can't. I don't think that necessarily means you're not fit anymore, or you can't get to the same level of fitness.
So let me ask you this question. So using you as a case that you take 2 years off, med school, that type of thing, and you get back into racing, you hadn't hit 200. Is your is your performance going to be hindered at 190, or and you have to hit that 200? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have to hit that point?
Am I
now,
going to go
or
slower
shall I-
now? You know.
Yeah.
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 I mean, or will you ever see at a certain age, like
I think
your older
body
brother
becomes
here?
more
He'll probably
efficient.
he's just going downhill.
Yeah. Oh,
and
Such a lost cause.
yeah, yeah. So, he takes a couple. He may never achieve 200 again,
Right.
even though he starts training. Will that affect his performance at that?
Yeah. So I think that I see where the question comes from, but where you have to think about it is that the heart is just responding to what your body needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking a certain amount of your body, and the heart is producing a certain amount of cardiac output in order to try to keep up. The other thing that happens with age is that, and training specifically, is that you get more efficient. So, when I first started riding bikes, I'm like sitting around 180 the whole time, and then the same effort I can sit at 140 because the body is more efficient. So I don't think that when you take time off, you can come back and you can have the efficiency from the time you put in prior to still put out the same watts, because ultimately I think you guys have heard watts to me are what it matters. Like, that's what matters. Like, if you're putting out the watts at 180, it's the same. Like, what does it matter if it's 180 or 160 for your heart rate?
Mhm.
You're putting out the watts. So
So throw away your heart rate monitor and
first of all, throw away your heart rate
and
monitor.
buy a really good
But
power
get a
meter.
power meter. Yeah, exactly.
I would also just like to circle back around to something you said earlier on. So we can all agree that Pat has impotence.
Yep. Yep. Can't get his
He's been
heart rate
impeded.
up.
Yeah.
His heart rate is not the only
Yep.
thing he can't get up.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Hey, Floppy, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Floppy.
The new nickname.
Hey, hang on. We got to wait for Floppy
David
to catch
does
up with
such
us.
a good
Yeah.
presentation.
We dropped
he
Floppy.
does. He tells us all these great medical things, and what do we do at the end?
Pat's
Sup,
You
Floppy?
know, our
That's
next
doodling.
our next segment is Quick Tips with Asshole,
With
brought to us by
slow downhill decline.
Asshole Ambassador Cycling.
He had one good day in April.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
I've been doing a lot of tri-fits lately.
was this your tip?
Is this why I'm so spicy?
Might
Maybe.
be.
Yeah.
You're just bitter.
I'm
Yeah.
bitter.
No,
the
all
triathletes
seriously,
are-
I
yeah.
do want to mention Ambassador Cycling, even though I call it a bad thing. But yeah, quick tips. So please, get fit to get fit. Check out ambassadorcycling.com. Go ahead, prick boy.
So I want to touch on tri-fits. They are very different than road fits.
So
and
much skin.
Yeah.
Wear some socks.
I know. Wear some socks. Wear a long sleeve, short sleeve jersey instead of a
People smile
top.
too much.
Yeah.
They always laugh like Tom Cruise. This. Nobody laughs that much. Just fucking stop it. Sorry.
but I will say you cannot translate those road numbers over to a tri-fit, right?
Yeah.
Like a big part of what I've done the last couple days. I've had 3 of them now this week. Raising the saddle up more because of the way that you are rotated forward onto your bike. So I guess where I would go with this is let's just focus on your shoulders right now. You're having shoulder pain right in the middle of your shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
Rotate those arm pads out and give yourself a little bit more room to breathe, because your chest is however wide. If your
Yeah.
arms are inside of that, you're not any more aerodynamic.
So many people sacrificing performance in
Yep.
terms of thinking because of his aerodynamic base,
Yep.
right?
And it is not aerodynamic. You are just losing oxygen, in which you're
Yeah.
then losing watts.
So if
You
I
know?
go faster, if I get aero, I'm not going faster necessarily.
Yeah, that's the difference of bringing your arms in versus like lowering your trunk down. Lowering your
Okay.
trunk down, you're more aero. Bringing your arms in, it's just like the praying mantis pose, as opposed to it's all still in front of your body.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference.
Dirty air. as
Open
they
up your
say, yeah.
lungs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me ask you, fitting a tri bike and then a road racer time trial, is it different?
Nope. Very similar.
A roadie tee.
Yeah.
and a
So the
tri
only
bike.
difference
Yeah.
is going to be like, God, that's a good question, Paul.
Should we say that for next week?
No,
Yeah.
no. I would just really quickly say that,
Mr.
like,
Wealth of Knowledge.
yeah,
Can just,
yeah,
throw in
raise
questions,
up
yeah.
your bars is the only real difference.
Yeah.
If you're a triathlete, because you have to hold the position for longer. So like a roadie could manage a lower profile position because it's like usually 30K.
Much less, yeah.
Yeah.
Where you've got an iron distance person who's doing just
100 plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Amstel Gold is this weekend, gentlemen, and you all have start forms in front of you, and we are at our length of our show, so we're going to go quick picks. Not quick fit, quick picks for Amstel Gold race. Paul, course topography, a little ups and downs, kind of things
Ups,
like
downs,
that.
lefts, rights, left
Yeah.
to the body, right to the head, liver shot. It just keeps going like all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's notorious for ups and downs, punchy hills.
A
and
lot
stuff,
of not necessarily a sprinter's classic, not necessarily something like that. It's going to be a lot more of
like a rouleur type. Right.
Although I keep remembering
puncher.
Matthew's final K that one year where he was like averaging 1,100 watts to close a gap, and just that was such an amazing event. My three riders: Michael Kwiatkowski from Ineos Grenadiers, Tadej Pogacar because I'm not an idiot, and Nelson Paulus because he's having a good season.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Sam, you picked all
Exactly
three, same.
Yeah, the only other one that I was going to possibly throw out, there would be it doesn't matter, Lawson Craddock. But
Yeah.
Tade, I mean, that's just because we're all going to pick Tade, so I
We
picked
are,
another
yeah.
person. But those are my top three.
Yeah,
Tade, Tej Benut,
yeah.
and then Christopher.
It'd be nice to see Jumbo Visma, find a way back, but to see Benoit Cosnefroid from AG Desert actually pull something out would be
He's talented.
that would be
He's
a
been there.
season
Yeah.
dream for that team. That'd be amazing.
What
David, do
bike
you watch
do the ride?
David, do you watch what? Yeah.
What bike?
BMC, get your asses over here. Get your Swiss asses on time. See, yeah.
You got you.
Sorry, David. I cut you off.
I had no good thoughts besides Pogacar and Palace, to be honest.
Really, you couldn't have just made another one up and picked
Well, I
a
He's
did,
rider
but
with a
last
one.
time I
He's
did
been
that
able-
with Greg Van Avermaet, y'all called my bullshit where I was like, I don't recognize that name, and I don't really
Bauke
have a
Mollema
better
would be
thought.
good.
Bakamolama would
Yeah.
be good. David
He's been
Gaudu.
Do
Guacamole?
American. Do Magnus Sheffield.
Magnus
There we
is
go.
he
Yeah.
in it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Movistar?
Magnus Sheffield. Yeah.
No, he's not.
I don't see it.
No, he's not
Is it-
Movistar. He's
not.
with
You know what? Number 3,
Ineos.
Peter Sagan.
Oh, he's
Magnus,
with
yeah.
Ineos. Yeah. Okay, Peter Sagan.
He's not in the race.
No, he isn't. And I think
Quinn Simmons is also
Even when he
American,
shows
right?
up, he hasn't
Yeah.
been in the race.
final question, gentlemen. This is another quick response one because I know it's going to be kind of a fun one, and this one was sent in to us. Hey, guess what? You've received an invitation to a race, but that race is the Unbound Gravel 350-mile edition. What would you do with the invitation? Would you use it, sell it, or throw it away?
Use it.
Sam, you would ride the 350
Yeah, because
miler.
then he'd have to.
He would have to also. Paul?
I wiped my butt with it.
Yeah.
David, what would you do it?
I'd use it because I really want to hurt.
You'd do it. I think I would do it. I would.
Yep.
I would go. I would go down there
Yep.
and race 350 miles.
That's insane. That's just
Yeah.
stupid.
I've done it before.
That's just dumb.
Not on gravel.
Yeah. I think it'd be a great race.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great race. Well, David's getting up and ready to leave. But
Who's
did you see
paying?
that he moved his mic with him?
Yeah.
Which means our little
I'm
boy is growing
learning.
up. Our
I'm
little boy is
growing.
growing up.
Who's paying
It's
our
so
entry?
much louder from
I don't know.
here than from here.
It's called a directional microphone. It's made for you to actually
I need
talk
a
directly
non-directional
into it.
one.
No, because then we would hear the refrigerator going on in the
Yeah.
background and all those types of things.
Fair enough.
All right, you guys. Thanks. That brings us to the conclusion of our podcast. I'm sure their bladders are full, and it's time to probably see if my wife bothered to cook because usually she doesn't on these nights. She doesn't on these
There's a
nights.
salad up there
Yeah,
waiting
I
for
smelled
Is
her.
there? Oh, okay.
When
There
I
we
peed.
go.
Yeah,
Holy
both of
shit.
these boys had to pee in the
Yeah,
middle
they
of the
did
show.
in the middle of the show, but they were quick, which
they were.
shows they're young.
Yeah.
Everybody, keep the rubber side down. Have some fun. Like, subscribe, and we will talk to you next week.
I've got the rain.